this right here is the money from the guitar that I bought last episode and showed you, the Ibanez S520 that I sold to my buddy Michael Kyle from Singularity. I'm glad it's still going to be in town so I can go see it, check it out, and watch it used. Pretty awesome. I am looking like doo-doo because I'm on a standard work day, but I'm going to go run to the pawn shop real quick and pick up another guitar I've had my eye on. I've allocated $160 to spend on it, and hopefully I can haggle and get it for that price and then make a hopefully decent profit on it. I will let you know how it goes. Alright, so the guitar I wanted was, after going over it, did not meet my qualifications to resell. So I ended up picking up a separate guitar, which I'll show you at a different time, that has a couple little issues with it, and I did that so that way I can show you how to fix them and we can move on. Now, it was listed as $129. I got it for $120 because I pointed out that it was missing a truss rod cover and didn't have matching knobs. Just simple things you can learn about guitars to point out in the pawn shops to bolster your case for getting some money off. So I spent $120 on this thing. Probably gonna shoot for 180 to 200 depending on how good it comes out after I clean it up. So we'll see. This is my little workstation. I don't really have a big station in this house. I built this rack to hold all my equipment, and I think tonight I'm going to edit it a little bit so I have some space. Told you I was gonna do a little bit of editing on my desk here so I had some room for a guitar, and that's exactly what I did. Cut out this big plank of wood that I got from work. Alright, so this is the Esp Ltd Ec 100QM. Again, with the quilted maple. Maybe I have a problem. But I thought I'd give you guys some insight real quick on what quilted maple is. I taught in the last video how it's produced, but there's different types that guitar manufacturers use. And at first, I thought LTD might be playing a trick on us. There's maple tops, which are thick and carvable, and then there's maple veneers, which are very thin and less, they have a lot less depth to them, and then there are maple prints, which are basically just transferred prints on the guitar to look like maple. It's not really quilted maple at all. This one though, first I thought may have been a print, but as I got close to it and I analyzed it a little further and I looked, you can actually see the wood grain. You can see the light bouncing off of it and playing around a little bit, so they didn't go full on cheap. This is actually a veneer. It's not a top, it's a veneer. So I mean, I guess it is a top, but it's not a complete full on maple top. Alright, so Richard, why did you buy this guitar? Well, good question, self. I bought this guitar because I thought it was one that we could actually work on a little bit. If you look right here, there's kind of a nick on the back there. That'll be some fun to fix here in a little bit. And it's got some minor finish issues, but here's the big thing that I wanted you guys to check out. Listen to this. Ooh. You. Up here, not so bad. Down here, ew, that's fret buzz. Fret buzz is caused when your strings rattle up against your frets because your action is too low or your neck relief is too low or too high. Neck relief is the curve of your neck in this direction. You see a little better this way. So if you have a neck and it's warped a little bit, it's coming this way, you need to pull back on your neck relief some to straighten it out. If you're getting some buzz like this, there's a good chance you're going to have to come back towards me this way. So, how do you do that? Well, up here is the hole where the truss rod goes. You can see there is for truss rod adjustment. Alright, so as we all know, guitar players are all fickle D-bags. Well, One of the biggest things I look for in a good guitar is the way it plays. And what we mean when we say the way it plays is how does it feel when you press down the strings. This guitar obviously had some buzzing problems, and it had low action and it felt nice to play, but it had some buzzing up here, and that can become annoying as hell, especially when you're practicing by yourself just trying to be quiet. So we had to adjust the truss rod and increase the neck relief. And truss rod, what is a truss rod? Well, it's a little rod in here. It's actually a metal rod that goes all the way down through this neck right here, and as you pull it tight, it'll go back in one direction. As you loosen it, it'll relieve just a little bit in this direction. It doesn't give a whole lot, but it gives enough to where if you don't know what you're doing, you can crack your neck. So be very, very careful. I generally don't recommend people doing this at home, but with a little bit of practice, you can get it right. Just if you start feeling it too hard, or if God forbid you start hearing creaky noises, stop what you're doing. What are the tools you're going to need to fix the action on your guitar? Well, this right here, an Allen wrench. Some truss rods have bigger ones, some are a little bit smaller. This one's kind of in the middle. Stick it in right there, and we're good to go. This one I've already done the adjusting, and I only did that to save time because this video is going to be packed full of information. Now, we got it adjusted, we took care of the buzzing. It's been tuned back up. Actually tuned 3 or 4 times while I was adjusting it. And here we have one of the most common problems in guitars: high action. The neck relief just brought that action way up down here. So how do you fix it? Well, it's a balancing act. You need, for this particular bridge, a stop tailpiece. You need a flathead screwdriver, and I happen to have one that fits the slot pretty well. And we're going to just bring it down. Well, feels like we got the action set pretty well. Nice and even tension, no dead frets. Sounds pretty good. Okay, so this guitar originally came with these these hardcore black knobs with the grooves in them for rolling. And what I like about these is I've played gigs where my hands have hit my knobs and knocked them off, and I've lost them, or they've just gone flying across the room. It's no fun. If I were to keep these cheapo plastic knobs on here, well, they wouldn't stay. For whoever got it, I wouldn't want to do that to somebody. Whenever I polish the guitar later, we'll get rid of all these little marks. So they have these little screws inside, little helicoiled in Allen wrench head screws, and they came with a nice little Allen wrench here. Very small one, and you can actually lock them down. They have little plastic inserts as well to hold them on. So you technically don't even need it, but it's nice to have that extra security. What we have here is a chip. It's gone all the way through the finish, down to the bare wood. And it shows you just how they do their process. Instead of them actually dyeing or staining the wood red, all that red is in the lacquer. So when it chips, it shows big time. Alright, in a process known as drop filling, we're putting glue into the chipped area. I've put a little bit of red dye underneath. Hopefully it'll match the paint job. This right here is a razor blade. We're putting some tape on the edges. That way we can leave only the middle open and not scratch the surrounding finish. This is for shaving off the excess glue that's proud of the surrounding finish. Here we have some strips of sandpaper that we've cut, and what we're going to do is go over the affected area with these little strips, and it's called strip sanding,
That way we don't sand off any extra finish we don't want to sand off. We'll do some fine finishing, sanding later to help it match the rest of the finish, but for now this works great. And again, with the more glue, I think it took me about 8 times to get it up to the level I wanted to. You gotta have patience to fill in the area, and a hairdryer to dry stuff off in between.
Okay, so we're back again. We let the glue cure overnight. I'm going to do a little bit of sand in here. And then this is 1,000 grit. We're going to go down to, or go up to 3,000 grit. And then we're going to do a little bit more fine polishing. And then final polishing. So we're getting there. This is 3,000 grit Trizact paper. It's really cool stuff. It's kind of spongy. You can use it wet or dry. I just kind of have it in this roll here because I'm doing an edge and I have some smoothing to do, but it's not really meant for super cutting. It's meant for obviously getting to a finer polish. And what I have here is Turtle Wax Scratch and Swirl Remover. It's an ultrafine polishing agent for car headlights, but it's basically the same deal here. Now I wouldn't use the Turtle Wax actual wax on this because they have small cutting agents in their waxes, but this is good for getting a fine shine. I'm applying a little bit to my cloth here. This is going to take forever, so I'm not going to film a whole lot of it. And then hopefully the product will speak for itself when we're done. Final step is to use a very clean rag. This is actually a polishing rag, and guitar polish. This is Proline brand. As long as it's for polyurethane finishes, it should work just fine. And once I'm done with this area, I'm going to go ahead and do the entire guitar just to clean it up, make it look nice. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but the the cheap knobs that actually cut into the lacquer finish on the front. So what I'm doing now is going through my process of 3,000 grit paper, trying to remove some of these scratches, trying to get down a little bit on the lacquer, and back to waxing, then to polish, just to try to clear that up. I've been doing that for about 10 minutes now. Hopefully they'll look better. Okay guys. Alright guys, we're all polished up now, looking pretty, looking much prettier than it did before it came in. Waiting on this truss rod cover to come in the mail. Look how pretty that is. And then, after I do a little bit of cleaning on this old hardware, it's a little bit pitted, and I'll do another episode that shows you how to do that because this episode's running long. But once all that's done, we will be good to go. This guy will be out for sale. Well taken care of. The patch still looks kind of gnarly, but the finish is it's actually very smooth right there, and it feels complete, so it's not horrifying. It won't cut you like it did before. You know, it was pretty bad before. I couldn't match the color the way I wanted to, and that's why it's still pretty ugly. That and that super glue I used was not the right kind to use, but we won't talk about that. Anyhow, it's a pretty guitar. Can't wait to get it going, and a little more about it. 12th fret inlay shows you what it is. Extra jumbo frets, which I'm a huge fan of, make it easier to play. It's got dual humbuckers, stop tailpiece, just your standard, you know, metal guitar basically. It's got a 24.75 inch scale, a little bit shorter than what I'm used to. I like 25.5s or 27s, but we'll do another episode on scale length hopefully soon. And this is also the first Les Paul style guitar I've ever bought. It's pretty crazy. I've been playing guitar for 16 years and this is the first one I've bought. Anyhow, I think it looks pretty good. Should be ready to rock, guys.